Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I'm an orb that goes boom!
And this week, we talk faith, family, and finality with Fast 10. Before we talk about Jason Momoa's gender, remember you can help us on Mortified, the Legitimacy Quest by subscribing to us on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify, signing up for our monthly newsletter through the link in our show notes, or following us on Twitter and Tumblr at MortifiedPod. Leyla.
Aaron.
We're home.
Oh, motherfucker. We are home, and you know what? We're with family, and I just realized that what I should have called myself was just Gasolina. I'm so stupid.
It's fine. It's fine. Listen. So it's June when we're recording this, but roughly a month ago, Fast 10 released to theaters. We
literally a month. We're a day short of a month. It was May 19th. This movie graced us.
Yeah. It was real good. Me and Leyla both had a great time watching it, I think. It is 100% a Fast and Furious movie, and that's all I really wanted out of it.
It is the most fast and also the most furious.
There's so much going on, and we'll talk about it. There's a bajillion fucking characters. There are, some really, really bad dialogue choices, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, we really get to the core of the franchise, which is family and cars and a bunch of weird stunts. And I think Jason Momoa is actually kind of the star of the show. I think he does a great job as Dante, doing just some weird, flamboyant, evil presentation going on here. But he's great. He's having a great time, and everybody else is responding with appropriate levels of angst and devotion to family. It's a great time. I rewatched it again today, and I started picking up on some of the themes they were trying to impart that I don't know the movie succeeds at, but I'm not sure that it matters.
There were themes?
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
All right.
So because I've done a lot of writing today, I didn't flesh out the plot summary, but I kind of just have big plot points, but we can talk about them, and maybe that'll be more useful because we'd be like, oh, and then this happened, and remember when this happened. So
yeah, it's a 3-hour movie, so I think the thing we don't want to do is the same thing we did with Avatar, which is painfully reliving that experience.
Yeah, that was rough. So I think, if we want to just start talking about these plot points, and then we'll just jump in whenever we remember something interesting.
Absolutely.
So the movie starts with a title card that's 10 years ago. And it is flashing back to, I think Fast 5.
Correct,
is the movie that it's referencing, which is, of course, the movie where Brian and Dom pull a big fucking safe out of a wall and then drive down the streets of Rio de Janeiro with it.
I am so glad that the franchise acknowledges that is the fucking best sequence in all of these movies. The safe chase is so fucking good.
It's incredibly hard to beat, even in the reused shots from Fast 5. It still holds up great. And what I love is that in this intro sequence, they show it from Dante's perspective, where he is just damn, they really did pull a safe out of the wall. Fuck. And then they show him getting blasted with it, where Dom does his weird sacrifice play, and whips the safe into him and his dad, and he is thrown bodily from the car and lands in the water. It's so good.
It's so good. And okay, so Jason Momoa as Dante, this is going to be a recurring theme, has so much fun in this flick. The most fun in this flick. He is the kind of unloved but wanted son of Reyes, in the sense that Reyes is your mom thought you were nuts and hated you and was terrified of you, but me, I recognize your potential as a business asset, and therefore I love you, son, which is a fucked up thing to say to a kid. Maybe not as fucked up as what we discussed in Lord of the Rings last week, which was say I wish you were dead instead of your brother, but it's up there. And listen, if the price I have to pay to watch 2 hours of just insane action set pieces and Jason Momoa having an entire gender is 45 minutes of fairly corny kind of beat you over the head with a hammer dialogue, I'll pay it every time. I don't give a shit.
100%. Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah,
basically, we get that set up. We're like, okay, Jason Momoa is mad because Dom killed his dad with a safe 10 years ago.
Well,
he wounded his dad with a safe. Luke Hobbs pulled the trigger there at the end, but The Rock, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he'll come in here at the very end.
Yeah. Very important that we keep reminding folks of the fucking celebrity names attached to these characters.
I mean, here's the thing. It's more useful just to use the celebrity names.
It really fucking is.
But anyway, we get, Vin Diesel driving with his son, Lil B, who I think is about 10 years old at this point. And for, people who are really interested in the lore of the Fast franchise, Lil B is the son of Dom Toretto and Elena Nivis, who was the cop who helped them in 5, who fell in love with Dom, and then they had a kid together, and then Cypher shot her in the head in movie, I want to say 8 or 9, but it was pretty brutal.
Oh my god, I think it was in 8.
That sounds right. I think 9 gave him a little bit of breathing.
Actually 7 or 8. Yeah, it was one of those two. Actually,
Hobbs and Shaw messes
up the spacing. It was 7 because they had to take Elena out for Letty to come back in 7.
Got you.
Yeah. Michelle Ortiz came back from shooting Avatar.
Yes, it's fine. It's totally fine.
Michelle Ortiz, I just fucking got her character
Letty
name.
Ortiz, Michelle Rodriguez, it's all the same.
Whatever. Anyway, this dialogue in the driving lesson and then I cannot talk today. The driving lesson and then subsequently the barbecue. Whew.
It's very bad. It's very stupid, and it's he's because he's teaching Lil B how to do donuts and drifting, and his advice is to find the line, feel the car, and let it fly. And Dom, that doesn't mean anything.
So a little bit of Leyla lore. One of these years, I don't know when, I don't know how, I am taking my friend Angie's brother to Los Angeles, and we're gonna go do some stunt driving lessons. We're gonna learn how to do some donuts and shit, and then we're gonna visit my friend Ange. And if I get in that car and that instructor's advice is find the line, feel the car, and let it fly, I'm gonna ask for my money back.
You're going to need to leave because you'll die.
That is not good advice.
It's very bad advice. But maybe, I don't know, it's fine. It unfortunately comes back at the very end of the movie, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, Lil B's like, oh man, I'm only 10 years old. I can't, my feet can't reach the pedals. But eventually, they go back to the barbecue. The whole family is there. Great grandma just flew in, Abuelita, who is from Fast 7, maybe 8. Hard to say.
I don't know, but I love her jewelry game.
No, she looks great. Everybody here looks great.
That woman came fucking dripped out in gold.
Mm-hmm. And they have this big speech about legacy and family and how your family is your legacy. Nothing can stop the legacy. Not now, not ever. Everyone's drinking Coronas. Han's there with Tej and Roman and Ramsey. They're all palling around. Roman's about to lead a big mission. And Tej is like, man, you're so stupid. How are you going to lead this mission? And Roman's like, I'm a leader. That's his whole plot arc. He's a leader, and it's about leadership. It's fine. They're talking. There's a bit where they try to get Han on Tinder, which will come up in a while, but very silly bit there. Anyway, they're all talking about family. Dom's talking about fatherhood with Han. It's a good time. See You Again. A piano cover of See You Again plays as he looks at pictures of Brian, who, R.I.P. to Paul Walker, right? That's actually what they're saying here is hey, Paul Walker's dead, but he's still in our hearts. Actually, he died in 2013, so this would have been 10 years to the anniversary of his death, this movie releasing. So
I do like that he is on the wall with so Brian, Paul Walker's character, is canonically on the wall with a bunch of other dead people, but Brian is very much alive in the movies.
They explicitly say, "Oh, Brian's fine. He's been warned, but he's not going to be on screen."
Brian is the only one that has somehow successfully gotten away from this. Like, when he rides off in 7, he's retired, and all the villains after Dom and Brian, they just collectively go, no, you know what? He made his peaceful exit. He's fine. We're going to just keep going after Dom and only Dom, and not his brother-in-law, which I think is just within the logic of the fiction is hysterical.
Like, the Fast franchise kind of works on wrestling logic, right? Like professional
really
wrestling,
does.
where it's like, okay, all of us, in our wrestling community, if like a character, like a guy who played a character died, like, we would be like, okay, you know what? He's fine. We'll keep the fiction of his storyline going, but, like, we're not actually gonna, tarnish his good name. And I have to respect that.
I agree.
Anyway, so then, later this night, Letty and Dom are having a conversation. By the way, Michelle Rodriguez, just incredibly attractive in this movie. It's really hard to concentrate. She's super hot.
Hard. Listen. I already think wife beaters are kind of hot, like, generally speaking, right? Men, women, like, on anybody, I think a wife beater is hot. Michelle Rodriguez, in her post D&D movie body, where she's still kind of shredded, in whatever magical pusher bra they have her in, aging like a fine Napa Valley wine. How am I supposed to focus?
It's hard. It really helps with all the terrible dialogue they give her. It's just like, I don't have to listen to the words she's saying because she's the hottest person.
Look at her. Oh, God. Like, there was, I don't know if folks that listen to this podcast are on Twitter, but, like, there was that trend recently of, like, a pride section at a store won't turn you gay, but so-and-so will, and it's, like, pictures of hot women, and I will say the one you sent me was a little bit of a disservice because it was early Fast and Furious with Michelle Rodriguez. Listen, she was hot then. I don't know what they put in her fucking water. She's so much hotter now, and I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah, listen, maybe just let people get old, because they do get hotter as they get older, I want to tell you, especially rich people. So.
Especially Michelle Rodriguez, and then you know who else shows up who's fine as hell?
Charlize Theron. Yeah, so... they're having this, conversation, and then Charlize Theron shows up at their front door, who is Cypher, who is public enemy number 1 for the Toretto family. And Dom's like, you killed my girlfriend / the mother of my son. Why should I help you? And she's, like, bleeding, and she basically explains, like, hey, I met the devil. His name is Dante. He's coming after you, Dom. And they show the sequence in which Dante takes over Cypher and takes over her operation and gets all her soldiers on his side, and basically he just has a bunch of people FaceTime from their families and say, hey, we've kidnapped all your families, and now you're gonna turn against Cypher for me, except for one dude who he does have to stab, and he's like, this guy didn't even have a kitty cat, I just had to kill him, sorry. Which is pretty brutal for that guy.
I did, yeah. That whole sequence was very hysterical, and I think a great introduction into the present day Dante character, right? Like a man who has been sitting on his revenge for 10 years, but it was also our introduction to beaten and bloody Charlize Theron, which was also distracting.
Listen, she looks good. She looks very good. There's a great fight sequence coming up that we'll talk about. But yeah, Charlize Theron is taken in by the agency, which is... What is the agent? I mean...
wink. Agency.
It is the CIA. I mean, straight up, it's just the CIA plus the FBI. But, they call it the agency. And, they're like, okay, we're going to put her into our black site prison, which is okay, maybe you shouldn't call it a black site prison. I don't know. That makes you seem like the bad guys, but whatever.
I think you and I have talked about it before, but this is such an anime, right? Can you not picture the anime version of all these screens lighting up around that guy as he asks them to vote a bunch of like faceless people to vote on like hunting Don Toretto. The most
That's
anime
just a
shit in
scene
the
from
world.
Evangelion, right?
It's
like that's
literally just
yeah.
a scene from Evangelion. Yeah.
It's very silly.
Get in the oh my god, what is Dom's
Get in
car?
the Charger,
Get in the
Shinji.
That's the episode title.
Excellent, great. But yeah, basically, then Little Nobody, who is just Clint Eastwood's son, he's
yeah,
like,
holy
wait,
shit,
we
it
don't
is.
have a mission in Rome? And then Dom and Letty are like, it's a trap. We got to go rescue them. And like, there's a bit where Little Nobody is trying to be like, hey, you know what? I'm trying to figure out where Han is. I can't get a hold of him. I even swiped right on his Tinder profile. And that's an interesting thing because I've never used Tinder, but Leyla, my understanding is that you are not, unless you want to be open to a certain gender, they can't swipe right on you, right?
Oh, you're so. Oh, is this what you meant by in your notes by Han is bisexual? Question mark.
Yes.
Hey, unless whoever was doing the swiping was smart enough to make a fake profile that was a woman, then yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They're not, obviously, right, the franchise would, I don't think this franchise is ever going to have a queer character, but like...
Well...
Oh, I mean, I guess Jason Momoa, right, is the most queer-coded character we've ever seen in this franchise.
Jason Momoa has such a gender, it's incredible. We'll talk about it more when he keeps popping up.
But yeah, I think that's just a funny, like, now Han for me is canonically bisexual until the franchise says otherwise. But like, yeah, they're doing this op. Oh, go ahead.
The guy is, okay, sorry, I was Googling this actively because you said Scott Eastwood and it triggered something in me. Ames is not Scott Eastwood.
No.
Scott Eastwood, there's so many random ass people in this movie.
Right, yes, he's a different person.
It's just an agent. Okay, that was for me then.
Well, no, he's Little Nobody. Ames is different from Little Nobody.
I fucking hate this franchise.
Yeah, see, Ames is the guy who took over after Mr. Nobody, who disappeared, not explained. They just keep saying that he disappeared. Also, Brie Larson is here. She's Mr. Nobody's daughter.
And she's Little Miss Nobody.
She's Little Miss Nobody.
Or Tess.
Or Tess, which we're going to call her Brie Larson, but
we're gonna call her Brie Larson. I would also like to call out Brie Larson's earring game. Whoever fucking styled this movie, on point. I want those earrings. Every single one of those chunky fucking earrings she was wearing.
Right. It doesn't matter. I think Scott Eastwood gets shot to death in this movie, so like I don't think it matters.
Does he? Oh my god.
I don't. Here's the thing: nobody dies in this franchise, so who knows? They should kill more people in this franchise permanently.
There are only 2 permanently dead people in this franchise. One is Brian, because his actor is also passed.
Right.
The other one is Elena, because she can't be there because Letty's back.
No, but her sister can't be. But we'll get there.
Her hot fucking sister.
Her sister is extremely attractive. Yeah, but like, so Roman's operation in Rome, where they're trying to steal like a computer chip or whatever, goes wrong. There's a bunch of like Roman has a gold Lamborghini for some reason, and like the reason was that it has to shine light and distract the eyes of the people that they're trying to steal the truck from. It's very silly. But the real important thing is that like once Tej and Ramsey, played by Ludacris and Nathalie Emmanuel, I believe, get in the truck, they're like, oh shit, the doors are remotely locked, and they look in the back and there's a big orb bomb.
Orb! The presence of the orb makes it a sci-fi.
I mean, this franchise was already very sci-fi fantasy. Now it's just like the orb makes it canon.
And this isn't even the first orb.
Where's the other orb?
Were there other orbs? I swear to God, there were other orbs.
I'm sure there were. I can't think of them.
We've talked about the orbification of the Fast and Furious franchise before.
I don't remember, but I'm sure you're right. But yeah,
orb makes it sci-fi.
Right, no. And there's the biggest orb, which is, this truck is being remote controlled by Jason Momoa. And he's like, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow up the Vatican, which is very silly. But like, he's driving the truck towards the Vatican. There's a bunch of stunts, Dom and Letty and, Han, they're all there trying to stop this bomb. And, there's a bit where there's like the orb hits a gas pump and there's a big explosion of fire, and Dom has to shield a bunch of civilians in a cafe with his charger.
He wheelies the charger horizontally so that the charger is at a 45-degree angle as he drives past this cafe shielding the people. And that's the series. Like, if I wanted to show anybody what Fast and Furious is about, I would just show them the fucking orb chase.
Here's the thing. When I saw that again, I was thinking, I feel like, with all the stuff they're talking about how Dom, like, needs to, his constant drive to defend the innocent and protect people. And there's a bit later where he gives his necklace to Brie Larson to give to Letty, because at some point Letty gets arrested after this op goes bad. It made me think that, like, Dom Toretto's kind of like the chivalric, like, ideal of a knight. I kind of want to make the read that Dom is like the medieval knight who is like constantly like on a quest to like prove his undying love to his lady. He like constantly he gives her boons. He is on a quest to protect those who are unable to defend themselves. He has a trusty steed, literally a charger. So, like, I don't know. I think it's not a great read, but I think it is one that I'm going to continue pushing.
I love this for you. And you did just remind me that I should assemble my Lego charger and my Lego Skyliner.
Yeah, no. Layla's been stocking up on Lego vehicles for this franchise, which is extremely funny.
It was either that or I was going to buy the miniature of their house.
The house miniature is a little sad. I wouldn't. Don't do that.
You're right. As I'll take that your word on that as my miniature painting authority. For listeners who don't know, Aaron did give me Blythe, the wolf from Elden Ring, and he is glued to my streamer light, and so Blythe just watches over me every day. It's really great.
Listen,
I feel protected.
He's protecting you. That's right. This whole orb chase scene is very fun. The bomb like rolls through a bus and tears it in half at one point.
Clean.
That's sick.
Clean in half.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Incredible. I love this.
It's movie. Like it has a blade. It just goes straight through it.
Maybe that's what they should do for next movie is orbs with blades.
Yes, a blade orb.
Full Code Lyoko.
Yes, no, 100%. Yeah, you've got a lot of really great shots of Michelle Rodriguez riding a motorcycle. But unfortunately, she's not able to escape. She gets arrested by the Italian police. And what happens is that Dom has to, he throws his car at, a construction crane and bounces it off the crane. And the crane turns in a way that, knocks the bomb off of, the bridge that's right in front of St. Peter's Basilica. So it sinks into the Tiber and explodes and doesn't blow up the Vatican. It's wild.
Investors, listen to me. I know all of the investors are listening to this pod. Sharks. I come to you today with a pitch. Fast and Furious themed fucking pinball.
Listen,
because that's what that was.
That was just pinball. You're not wrong.
So I think that would rule. One of my friends is I believe nationally ranked. One of my work friends is nationally ranked in pinball. I think he and I could work together on the design. I think we could really go somewhere.
Please. But this bit with the Vatican is the first bit where I was like, is this movie trying to say something about faith? Because they keep talking about faith in this movie, and at a couple points, Momoa calls Dom Saint Dominic, and they're trying to make a theme. They're not doing anything with the theme. And listen, as a writer, I get it. Sometimes I'm just if I put the faith in here a couple times and martyr and sacrifice, people will get what I'm going for, even if it's not paying off in a real way.
Oh,
yeah. I think it's just very silly that they're trying to make that connection, but also they did try to blow the Vatican, so I have to respect that.
Yeah, we gotta respect the hustle. So Rome mission went south, and now we meet Tess, Brie Larson, and we see Ames. Not Scott Eastwood, but the most Dorito-shaped man I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, you know how sometimes when in grade school, when they were teaching you wrong science about health, they would be like, men are shaped like upside down triangles, and women are shaped like regular triangles. This guy does look like an upside down triangle with a military haircut.
This guy's hip to shoulder ratio is fucking insane. And I think the suit like helps with that a little bit. Like I think the suit is tailored for that, but holy dicks, I was so distracted by just how like clean cut he looks. Ames is nuts. So Ames is running the agency again. We don't know what the fuck the agency is. It's just the agency.
It's just the agency.
And Tess comes in and she's like, dude, they didn't blow up the Vatican. They were clearly framed, you fucking idiot. And Ames is like, joke's on you. You're the idiot. Fellas and faceless Evangelion screens, can we get a vote on whether or not to hunt down Dom Toretto? And most of them were like, yeah, let's hunt down Dom Toretto.
I do appreciate it wasn't unanimous.
It was not unanimous, and I did notice a woman voted no.
That's feminism.
Hashtag feminism. So Tess walks off with her immaculate ear jewelry, and goes to hunt down Dom, who is drinking in some sort of gang-operated Italian bar?
Yeah, it's weird. And also, she seems to know the bartender because she, like, walks in wearing this jacket that does say good vibes only, which is really funny.
Do want the jacket.
But, like, you know, all the people in the bar try to jump her for some reason, and the bartender throws her a shotgun from behind the bar after she starts whooping them. And it's like, I don't know what's happening here. I want to know the story between her and that barkeep, but whatever, sure.
I want to know the story between, well, we'll get to it, between Natalie Emmanuel and Pete Davidson.
God, yes. I need to send in my agent an email and ask her if anybody is working on Fast and Furious novelizations, because I would crush it to fill in all these gaps in the world building. I would love that shit.
Oh my god, please.
Oh my god. Anyway, God in heaven.
So, Tess and Dom, well, Dom also, by the way, sees Maggie Shaw.
Deckard Shaw's mom.
What is the actress's name? Isn't she a dame?
Helen Mirren.
Helen Mirren and Vin Diesel have a weird but appreciated amount of sexual tension in these films.
Wait.
Have you noticed it?
No, what?
There's some there. I like it a lot.
That's how this franchise is going to end, is that Helen Mirren's going to fuck Vin Diesel and Hobbs and Shaw are going to have to fight them, and it's going to be like War of the Worlds.
Hey, they need to plagiarize from Twilight when Jacob looks at Edward and is like, so should I start calling you Dad?
Mm-hmm. Yes, 100%.
I want them to redo that scene.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so Tess finds him and she's like, you can't give up, Dom. I'll try to help you. It's very short and sweet, but like,
there's a bit where she's like, do you know why gladiators never had families? And I was like, what are you talking about? Is it because you're in Rome you're saying this dumb shit? And the answer is yes. But yeah, it's very fun. Oh,
you should listen. Something about Italy as an American tourist, it like changes your brain chemistry. You become insufferable for a while.
Listen, as somebody who went to Italy immediately before going to undergrad, I did have a Statue of David poster in my dorm for 3 years. So like,
I should.
You're not wrong.
I have a photo of me in front of the David doing the David pose.
Oh, sick!
It's one of my favorite photos.
Hell yeah.
Maybe I'll put it on. Maybe I'll tweet it.
Listen, please do. But basically what happens then is we get a cut to Mia and Lil B playing like a Hot Wheels racing game.
Hashtag sponsor.
Yeah, I mean, clearly. But then I think they're playing Mario Kart music over it, so I don't know how that happened. But anyway, a bunch of like, agency thugs like throw tear gas through their windows, and all of a sudden Mia's like, oh shit, hey B, do the thing that we do when people with guns come to our house. And B's like, okay. And he's very scared. And Mia, like, for a while is holding off like these, military trained operatives. She like hurls a frying pan at one guy at one point. That's sick. But, ultimately they are rescued by who else but John Cena.
You can't see him. You can't see him coming. He's here.
Yeah, canonically, John Cena is Mia and Dom's brother, if y'all didn't remember that.
Do you know, this is thanks to our, to the researchers and how did this get made, but do you know how many times Mia Toretto uses a frying pan in the franchise as a weapon?
Wait, is this a thing?
Yeah. Do you want to guess?
3?
8.
What the fuck?
Mia Toretto uses a frying pan as a weapon 8 fucking times.
I need to go back and find every one of those. That's awesome.
I'm sure there's like a compilation on YouTube.
That's great. That's excellent.
John
Anyway,
Cena
yeah.
finally gets to have fun.
He's having a blast. He was kind of like a dour villain in, I want to say 9. But he is cool Uncle Jacob now, and he kicks ass.
He is having him and Jason Momoa have the most fun in this movie, guaranteed, hands down.
Yeah, no, they're having so much fun. It's really cute. There's bits in the road trip where he takes with Little B after he rescues B from this. Mia's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go hang out with Brian now. Will you take this my nephew, our nephew, I guess, on a road trip?" And he was like, "Sure." And there's the chemistry between those two characters I think is very good. I think they do a great job.
Well, okay, if I was 10 years old and I got to act across from John Cena, he feels like he knows how to, like, loosen up a kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
I feel like he has a fun uncle energy. I've watched a lot of interviews with him. He is just a general uncle energy. So I think he'd be a great acting partner for a child, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, there's this bit where, like, he is talking about, like, he has his car, which isn't supposed to be very cool, but it's like a Mustang. It's like an old Mustang. And, B's just like, I'm not very impressed by this car. And he, like, gets out, like, a cassette tape and puts it in, and they start, like, dancing. And there's just, like, I have this screenshot of them, like, both kind of, like, doing the, like, head swerve side-to-side thing and in sync. And it looks like they're both, like, really having a lot of fun. And I love that for them. They're very cute together.
They are. It's and the way this little road trip resolves, which we'll get to, is just incredible.
Yeah. But anyway, Tess has met with Dom at this point, gotten the cross necklace, and now she goes to the black site where Letty is being held. So, do you remember what happens here, Leyla?
Yeah, she stabs Letty.
Yeah. So, do you know why?
To get her into the med bay, yeah?
Okay, that's my understanding too, but like the cut is so shallow. I was just like, I guess that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but sure. I don't know why the people at the agency weren't like, are we just gonna let her stab our prisoner? I guess that's fine. I mean, we are a bunch of like torturing, evil people, but really weird. I guess we'll go heal her. Anyway, wild thing to have happen.
A great introduction into the level of technological nonsense that's happening here, because Brie Larson walks into Michelle Rodriguez's cell and is like, so I was able to cut the audio, but like they can still see us. I was like, bitch, when? How? What are you talking about? And that is
the wall is made of black cubes. What do you want? We are truly in sci-fi shit. Like, whatever. Sure.
And that is just a beautiful precursor to what Charlize Theron does in the next scene, which is with the interface on the side of her hospital bed, is able to get herself out of handcuffs, get Michelle Rodriguez out of handcuffs, reroute the ventilation system to put sleeping gas over the scientists. By the time to escape.
Yeah, while a laser is healing Michelle Rodriguez's stab wound.
Just wild and perfect and great. And this is one of my favorite scenes of the flick, because Michelle Rodriguez and Charlize Theron beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, it's just like there's a bit where she's like, okay, we have got 4 minutes until these scientists wake up, and Letty's like, that's gonna have to do. And then we have the hottest fight in cinema.
Brutal, beautiful, incredible. The way these women throw each other around, fantastic.
There's a bit where Michelle Rodriguez is like trying to choke Cypher with like her like calves and legs, and I was like, that's how I would like to request to be executed, please.
Yeah, if I ever do a war crime, please call Michelle Rodriguez in to choke me out.
But the fight itself is like really brutal, because they are just like throwing glass at each other and like smashing each other through panes of glass, and it looks terrible and incredibly painful, and it's also just so sexy. But
feminism, you know what I mean? Like, I'm so tired of watching like dainty ass fights between women where they're like, like Charlie's Angels style, like posing while they're doing the moves or whatever. No,
Sure.
this was raw and brutal and sexy and great, and I loved every minute of it. I would watch it 100 more times.
Yeah, it was awesome. But eventually Letty does defeat Cypher. She goes up the ladder to like escape, and she realizes she's in Antarctica, and she's like, "Well, fuck! I guess I have to work with Cypher now."
Yeah.
Cypher's waiting at the bottom with a big jacket, and she's just like, "You didn't have to do all that."
Yeah, and she's just there to be petty and correct, which I love.
Which is funny. There's a bit where they go to Rio and Dom has a race against Dante.
Speaking of sexy scenes, the
boy.
lead up to this race, where it's like, first off, I have never heard such a climactic, dramatic rendition of Gasolina, right? It was the trailer song, but what they didn't tell me was that my fucking seat would shake from the bass as we get this, like, slowed down, gritty, fucking Dame más gasolina, like, just the heaviest fucking... I was like, this rules. I think my brother watched me have, like, a physical reaction while I was sitting there, like, ah! But also, this is the scene from the trailer where, like, everybody, like, Dom has half the crowd and Dante has half the crowd, and they'll point their guns at each other. And Dante, like, puts his arms over the guns, and he has this, like, pastel purple nail polish that matches his beautiful silk open-chested blouse. And he just, like, strokes the guns a little bit. Listen, Jason Momoa is one of those people that is objectively attractive, but I am not very attracted to, like, the, like, really big muscle-bound types. Like, it's just not... I'm attracted to men who I think I could take in a fight, basically. That's
your type is birdcore.
Yeah, it is. And he's just, like, stroking those guns, and in that moment I was like, oh my god. I get it. I get it. I am now very attracted to whatever Jason Momoa is going on.
It's real good.
And that Elena's sister was there, who's also very hot, and they have a great race.
Yeah. That's the main thing we need to point out, is that this person, Isabel, is Elena Neves' sister, that Dom saves after Jason Momoa puts 2 mines on the cars of Isabel and another guy from Fast 5 that, unfortunately, I don't remember at all. That was 5 movies ago. His name is Diogo, and I'm sure he was important, but yeah, he gets exploded.
Oh, it is brutal. He gets so exploded. I would also like to point out that I realized after watching this movie that Isabel is wearing shoes that I own. She is wearing the 1460 Vonda floral leather lace-up boots from Doc Marten. So if you want to do a little closet cosplay, those are the boots you want to get.
There we go. Yeah. It's great. But yeah, basically Dante, just likes to, his whole thing is that he wants Dom to suffer and, like, torture him. So he keeps, like, killing people that Dom vaguely knows and putting other of his, family members in danger.
Well, he's making him choose people who he'll like target.
Right.
1 or 2 people at a time and be like, oh, Dom, well, you can't save them all. And he's, like, psychologically tormenting him with the choice of who to save. It is just, like, fun to watch.
I mean, it's classic supervillain shit, right? This is like you put 2 people at, like, this is like the Joker, right? In Batman, the second Batman movie, where there's, like, 2 different bombs on 2 different ships, right? This is a classic thing to be like, you have to choose one, and I'm going to kill the other, right? And the hero figures out how to save them both, except sometimes you need to whittle down the number of people in this movie. So.
Well, yeah, because this is such a large cast. They need to make room for other people to bring back from earlier movies.
Right.
Was this all before or after Dante doing a little pedicure moment?
I think this is before, because I think he does the pedicure after the Rome op.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to talk about the pedicure?
Yeah, so in the most gruesome, I think, scene in any of these flicks, Jason Momoa is sitting in a yard with 2 dead bodies, one of whom he taped their eyes open, and is doing their pedicure and talking to them like they're friends. And in the most visceral, just like in the most viscerally disgusting shot I've ever seen in my life, a fly lands on the eyeball of one of the security guards, and I was like, oh, apparently everybody wanted to cut this scene except for some lady at Universal, and I would like to thank that lady at Universal because it was so impactful.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, listen, they tried to build up what's his name, Reyes, to be a quote unquote psychopath, right? Like, and if you're gonna show your villain to be a crazy guy, this is a perfect scene to keep. To be like, yeah, he's like doing an evil monologue while painting, these dead people's, fingernails. Like, yeah, of course you want to keep the scene. It completely serves the purpose of what it was, recorded for.
Yeah, I think they specifically call him a sociopath, which, like, listen,
Right.
I have very few criticisms of this film. Needlessly diagnosing your very evil villain with being a sociopath, I didn't need that. You know what I mean? Like, stop using diagnostic language. This movie is fake and not real.
Right.
That's like one of my only criticisms of this flick was that they included that phrasing.
Listen, we've come a long way from where the franchise started, which is just using the F slur. So
That's true.
This franchise has never been perfect with vis-a-vis treating people with respect. So, like, it's not great, but I think that's unfortunately one of the things that you just have to keep bringing up is that this is a franchise that thinks it's for straight people.
Sure does. Sure does think so, doesn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, at this point, we're going to cut back to our miscreants, Nathalie Emmanuel, Roman, who is played by I forget his name.
Tyrese Gibson.
Tyrese, thank you. And Ludacris. They all escaped from the
And
Rome
Han.
op.
Don't
And Han,
forget
yes,
Han is there.
naturally. But like they all escaped. That's Sung Kang, by the way. But like escaped from the Rome op in a shipping container full of aftershave, I guess. But like they're like, okay, what are we gonna do? We don't have any money because we got hacked. We're on a bunch of security cameras, and what Nathalie Emmanuel does is she's like, all right, I gotta go hit up my former associate / maybe ex-boyfriend, who is played by Pete Davidson.
It sounded like she at least hooked up with Pete Davidson.
Right. This scene is just silly. It's really fun.
Why? Okay. Why is Pete Davidson in charge of the London Underground? Or, like, the London black market? What's up there?
I think it's mostly because he sells drugs. He like has the special muffins.
Yeah, Han gets mushroom muffins, and he just eats them. And that doesn't resolve in any way. He's just kind of high through the scene.
Yep.
And then Tej and Roman have a fist fight that I do think is hilarious.
It's very fun. And the film treats it as funny, too.
Yeah, because Roman isn't allowed to be genuinely emotive.
Yeah, right. No, there is one scene at the very end where he is, but like generally he is a kind of a punching bag. But like, yeah, they have this scene where Roman and Tej get into a fight about how, Roman's leadership is fucking them over. It's a very silly scene. They kind of beat each other up. At one point, Roman throws a bunch of powder in the air for no reason. Do you remember this?
Yeah, so I think that was like the crumbled drywall that he was like using as pocket sand.
Oh, okay, got you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was so confused by that.
Yeah, and this is also when we find out that Roman just has a bunch of cash strapped to him.
Yes, which is really funny. That's what's, they're like, oh no, we're hacked, but Roman reveals that he just has hundreds and hundreds of $100 bills just on his person at all times, which is very funny.
Which I respect.
You gotta give it up.
Gotta give it up to a practical king.
Yeah. At this point, we cut back to Jacob and Lil B, who, they have a kayak jet, is what happens.
Okay, so they not only have a kayak jet. The kayak jet is powered by shooters, which is hilarious. But also, on a sweet note, the flight attendant who hands them the key to like go into the bag hold, where their jet kayak is Paul Walker's daughter. Samantha Walker.
Yeah, it's very nice. But yeah, basically they use these shooters to power. He had basically got this like kayak shaped object into the into like the cargo hold of this plane. And then him, being John Cena and Lil B, get into it. They put the shooters in the fuel, and they kind of assemble this jet, and they just fly to Portugal.
Yeah. Did you notice also Lil B doesn't like planes?
Right, he says that. Oh!
Yeah!
Because his mom was killed on a plane!
Yeah! Because he says it's not the heights.
Oh my god, I didn't catch that. Ugh! This is a good movie, actually!
It's actually a very good movie, is the problem.
Oh my god. I can't believe I didn't see that. That's such a good point. That rules. That's great. That's world building. That's characters. That's payoffs.
Also, that little actor who plays Lil B, incredible.
Yeah, no, he's great. I want to see if I can
performance.
find him. Little B is played by...
Now make sure it's the new Lil B and not the other one.
Listen, yeah, Lil B had a weird race change here.
He went through, you know, how kids go through race puberty.
Listen, it happens. It's Leo Abello Perry. But shout outs to Mr. Perry. You did a great job. We had this conversation a couple weeks ago, but it is very strange that Dom is I think canonically black in this movie, in this franchise.
Vin Diesel famously did say he could play any race. Listen, it doesn't matter, right? The kid did a great job.
Yes, this has nothing to do with the kid.
Nothing to do with the kid. Kid did a great job. I don't care that the character got race swapped. It just, in the context of Vin Diesel having said that.
Of Vin Diesel being like, yeah, no, I could be any race.
It is kind of hysterical. Especially, especially coming from the guy whose real name is Mark Sinclair.
Yeah, Vin Diesel... Vin Diesel is an interesting man. And I don't agree with him generally, but I am happy for him to be in these franchises. Anyway, getting back on track. The crew in London go and find Deckard Shaw because Han's like, okay, because Pete Davidson rats them out. So they're like, okay, we need equipment. They go find Deckard Shaw, who is beating up a man in his punching bag.
This was the hidden or the post credits from Hobbs and Shaw, I believe.
Yes, 100%. This is the payoff to that. I don't know who that man is. He's only credited as Russian bag man in the credits. So.
And you know what? He crushed it.
Yeah, he did a great job. There's a brief fight where Shaw's like, "You're here to kill me, Han," and Han's like, "I'm really not." They fight him off a bunch of agency dudes. Shaw gives them a bunch of equipment to get on a plane, and then he's like, "Oh no, my mom's in danger. Gotta go." I was glad to see who plays Deckard Shaw. Jason Statham. I was glad to see Mr. Statham. He seems like he's having a good time. But doesn't do a whole lot in this movie.
No, but he doesn't he have a funny license plate on his funny red car?
Oh, I don't remember. It's probably something British.
Nah, I'll cut it. Yeah, it was short, but I love seeing Han fighting, and I love seeing Mr. Statham fighting. I do keep saying that the reason these movies have to end isn't necessarily because our heroes are getting a bit old, but it is also because they are running out of large men.
Yeah, there just are too many that are just consistently being thrown into the meat grinder of this franchise. Let's see. There is a bridge battle where Dom is arrested after he goes and finds Dante's vision board, which is just a creepy PowerPoint. But he's arrested by Ames. Ames talks about, how one man behind the wheel of a car are over. And then Ames gets attacked by all of Dante's thugs. There's a brief conflict where he tries to, make Elena, he tries to hurt Isabel. But then he doesn't because Brie Larson shows up, but then he shoots Brie Larson in the shoulder. She's fine. I don't know if there's a whole lot that happens here at this bridge fight.
There are two important things. One, Dom does protect Isabel with a
car door.
With a car door, which is, I'm gonna go ahead and believe that's a Twilight reference. You know what I mean? That's
you
beautiful.
gotta.
And then there is, so I did mention that Gasolina was a very potent musical cue in this flick. This is the scene with the second potent musical cue. It's the fucking Nutcracker. So There's
a bit though where before this, they're talking about opera, and Dante says, I adore Swan Lake, but you seem more like a Nutcracker guy.
Oh yeah, sorry. Swan Lake is the musical cue here, not Nutcracker.
Okay, yeah, okay.
There is nothing like going from Gasolina, and again, dramatic, just bassy, slowed down, Daddy Yankee Gasolina, to the loudest da, 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 like the emotional whiplash of going from Gasolina to Swan Lake. I think my brother watched me just like writhe in my seat the whole time. The poor kid was sitting next to me. I had a nosebleed the whole time from the dry ass air. I'm just like thrashing in my theater chair because I'm being taken on an emotional ride by this flick. Highly recommend though. It was great. I loved it, every second of it. Again, Jason Momoa having the most fun, just like twirling through this scene. It's great. And riding a beautiful lavender car.
Yeah, it's great. It's a fun scene.
I want a car that color.
Yeah, listen, one day. Blah, blah, blah. Your legacy isn't money or power or family. It's the life you made. A father and a son is everything. There's a bunch of fatherhood shit that happens here. Most important thing that happens is that he gets God's eye and is able to track down the location of Jacob and Lil B. And he sends a bunch of dudes after him. And that's where we get like kind of our final confrontation where, it's Jacob and Lil B running from all the goons. And Dom is like in this plane driven by Ames.
Jacob and Little B are running from the goons in a car with cannons.
Yes, this is a plot important thing. The car has 4 cannons on it. 2 shoot in the front and 2 shoot in the back, and they can be positioned to shoot downwards. But yeah, that's how they're trying to escape all these goons. This is where we get Little B becoming a member of the family, in which he starts killing people because he is firing these mortars into the goons. 10 years old, it already has a body count.
Yeah, Lil B. That was my immediate thought when I watched that. I was like, oh, that was his first murders.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's very silly to criticize this franchise for being like, that kid is going to be so traumatized, but he is.
Again, as they said on the How Did This Get Made episode, like, that kid already has, like, cues for what to do when armed invaders come to his house. Like, he's already traumatized. He will never feel safe anywhere he goes. Right.
Poor dude. Yeah, at this point, Dom shows up. He is airdropped out of a plane. Call back to 7. Great flick. But, he joins up with Jacob and B. They are zooming away. And then there's a bunch of like other dudes that show up. The gun gets jammed, I think, at some point, but B fixes it. But then Jason Momoa takes him and pulls him into his car. So Jacob's like, okay, the only way that I can help is by sacrificing myself to stop all these goons. So he points all the cannons downward. He launches his car into the air into the other lane and kills all the dudes who are chasing after Dom. Dom is like, no, my brother. He's fine. Here's the thing. He's fucking fine.
I wish Dom Toretto had a macro meta view of his universe. No one ever dies.
Listen, yeah. We saw Han get shot. Like, he's fine. But yeah, he drives up and after Jason Momoa, who there's what he does. This is kind of a callback to 5 because the helicopters, he has helicopters shoot Dom's car Charger and like try to pick it up. And what Dom does is that he gets the helicopters to crash into each other. And then he uses them in the same way he uses the safe he whips the helicopter carcasses at Jason Momoa, which distracts him long enough for B to use the lesson from before, find the line, feel the car and let it fly. He opens the door, does the classic Fast and Furious jump out of your car into another car thing. Vin Diesel rescues him, pulls him into the car, and it looks like they're safe. They escape to a dam.
Hey, I had a thought just now. Wouldn't it be sick if John Cena comes back as the kind of Terminator Idris Elba bot?
Yes, 100%. excellent choice. That's how they gotta do it, right? And like he's like, oh, I want to help you, but I'm being controlled by whoever controls the Terminator machine.
Yeah, because we haven't seen that tech since Hobbs and Shaw. And
maybe that's what happens in the upcoming Girls Only movie. Maybe they have to take out John Cena. That would be I'd be into that. That'd be cool.
I'd be into that too. That fucking rules. So we're on the dam now, which is another scene from the trailer. And Jason Momoa brings out two 18-wheelers to crush Dom and his son, and then Dom rides down the dam.
This is, again, where I'm just like, I think they're trying to do something because Jacob's like, or not Jacob, but B is like, it's okay, Dad, I have faith. And then Dom's like, you made one mistake, Dante, you never took my car. And like, that's where I was like, this is how he is a knight. You know, he has his trusty steed / his legendary sword, which is the same thing, which is a Dodge Charger. And he does drive down the dam as it is exploding.
The Hoover Dam, by the way.
Oh, is it the Hoover Dam?
I'm literally, I just thought of it, and I'm looking at it on my phone right now. It's the fucking Hoover Dam. They blow up the Hoover Dam.
I thought they were in Portugal.
No, this is all in Brazil. Or not in Brazil. This is Panama.
But the Hoover Dam I thought was in...
Where the fuck is the Hoover Dam?
Colorado. It's in Fallout New Vegas, so I assume it's in Colorado or Arizona.
Oh, you're right. It's by Vegas.
It does look like the Hoover Dam.
Nevada. But it is like,
Nevada.
It is the Hoover Dam, structurally speaking. I don't know if it's in Nevada. Maybe they ended up in Nevada. I can't remember. There's a lot of international travel that happens. But that is the Hoover Dam.
It looks like the Hoover Dam. Anyway, he drives down the Hoover Dam. There's a big like trail of fire after him, but he is able to escape. Him and B are, thrown from the car, but they survive. They land in the water. Cinematic parallels, right? The water that saved Dante is now saving B and Vin Diesel, and it's like that's storytelling, baby. Yeah, then it's like a cliffhanger. There's a bit where Ames turns out to have been evil, and he shoots I think it's a Stinger missile at the plane that Roman and Han and all of them are in, and it's implied that they're all killed in the plane crash. They're not. No one for a second thinks they're all dead. But that's the twist, is that Ames is a bad guy. But it ends on the cliffhanger, which is very strange. There is one final bit. There's two final bits. One. In Antarctica, Cypher and Letty are walking, and then the nuclear submarine from like movie 6, I think, shows up.
No, this is a different nuclear submarine. But
no, it's not.
Cypher.
It's the same one.
It's the same one. I thought that one got blown up.
I think it was. I think it's got to be, right? Because they bring it up in this movie. They're like, they even stole a damn nuclear submarine at one point. So I assume to me, it's the same nuclear submarine.
Fair enough.
But it's, of course, being driven by Gal Gadot, who fell to her death many movies ago.
On the endless runway.
On a super long tarmac, yeah.
I don't mean to keep plugging the How Did This Get Made episode for Fast X, but like honestly, if you want another take on it, like they're also equally delighted by this flick. They kept joking that this is like, this was Gal Gadot in her own backyard, like cell phone footage that they superimposed. Because like truly, what did she do? Come in for like 10 seconds to film herself opening a hatch? But then the other part of it, like, oh fuck, what was the other thing? I do want to shout out, somebody came to the How Did This Get Made show dressed as the Endless Runway from Fast 6. Like they have like a huge train to carry up. So shout out to that person. That's a great cosplay.
That's really fun, and I'm gonna have to listen to that because I want to hear other people's thoughts on the franchise.
Oh yeah, the How Did This Get Made people are equal. They are on the same camp as we are, which is like these movies are perfect, no notes. And they're a great fun they're great fun if like you go in knowing what you're going in for. Like if you're going in to see some sort of like cinematic masterpiece, you're gonna get that. If you're going in for some smooth brain action time, you're gonna have a great time.
Excellent, very, very good. I'm very excited to listen to that. But yeah, Then there's the credits, and then there's a cameo.
A mid-credits cameo, so you do not have to
Right.
sit through the whole credits.
Which is nice. Basically, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson shows up and sees a similar vision board, and Dante's like, "You actually killed my dad, so I'm gonna get you."
Dom, what was it like? Dom set the stage, but you pulled the trigger, or Dom
Right.
released safety, something like that. Some stupid quote like that.
Yeah. And he's like, "The devil's coming for you, lawman," and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson replies, "Well, I ain't hard to find, you some bitch," and then breaks the phone in his hands, which is just like, yeah, that's Hobbs. That's what you want to do. I don't know what you want, right? That's this franchise. It's great. It's fun. I love it.
It is fun. I also love, so I can't wait. I like the way that they're gonna break these movies up, because it feels like they're gonna have well, because the cast is so fucking big, you have to kind of focus your attention on different parts of the cast. So I have a feeling we won't see as much of Vin Diesel for Fast X Part 2. Because it's not Fast 11. It's X Part
Fast
2.
10 too, yeah.
10-2, it's just Final Fantasy 10-2 vibes. It does imply that we're going to see some more of the Rock, maybe, which is great, because reportedly Vin Diesel, The Rock, and Jason Statham do not get along. And apparently, reportedly, Vin Diesel is mad that Jason Momoa, stole the show for Fast X. So you have a bunch of big men.
Sorry, Vin Diesel, you should have acted better.
Sorry, Vin Diesel.
You're a producer on this film. You could have given yourself better lines.
You could have had a gender, Vin Diesel.
Listen, yeah, try some shit out.
Yeah. It's it's you got to keep these big men apart a little bit.
Yes, and you know what? That's fine. I think they probably work best when they're separate from each other. But yeah, I don't think I kind of hit all the stuff I wanted to say. It's just like a fun movie. It was great. I think the one thing that is unfortunate is that I had a slightly less fun time when I watched it today, because I watched it on my laptop in my apartment. And just the spectacle is not the same when you're not in a theater.
Yeah, listen, cinemas are magic, right? I love going to a movie theater. There are very few movies I think must be seen in a theater, just for the sake of I don't know, I think I don't like guilting people into experiences that are getting a little bit expensive, especially if you have kids or whatever.
Right.
There are two flicks that I've seen this year that I would say you probably should see on a big screen. One is Fast X, the other one is Into the Spider-Verse. Or Across the Spider-Verse, sorry.
Right. Yeah, listen, some things are just meant to be spectacles. And if you can, please try to see those movies in as large of a screen as possible.
Large of a screen and as enthusiastic of an audience,
Right.
I'm going to try and go to the IMAX on release day for Fast 10-2. And for Fast 10-3, I'm coming to you, big boy.
Yeah,
we're going together.
We're gonna figure this out. Hopefully at whatever point those movies come out, I'll have been at a job long enough to accrue enough vacation time to make some drives to come out to Buffalo. But yeah, it's exciting. Can't wait to see what happens next in the franchise. I am very excited for the women-led movie, for Hobbs and Shaw 2, and for 10-2, because this franchise is immortal, just like Family and Legacy.
Correct.
And the Vatican. Unfortunately. Leyla, when we are not singing the praises of our favorite stupid franchise, where can we be found on the internet?
You can find me at LEYLSCS on Twitter and Tumblr. I'm currently tweeting a lot about Xenoblade Chronicles, which I think is a great game. Otherwise, I'm just kind of working. Silent Hill Ascension comes out this year, so I'm very busy. Well, how are you? Where can you be found?
I'm at AaronSXL on Twitter, at AAVoigt on YouTube, and at aavoigt.com, where I talk and write about tabletop RPGs, health policy, and writing. Mostly just kind of writing a supplement for Bloodbeam Badlands right now, among other things, so check those out. I do another podcast with my friends Michael and Josh, that's at The Bible Boys, where we talk about Christian media and either praise or condemn it. I'm about to finish our history channel, Bible miniseries So it's been a fun experiment, but I'm ready to get back to more weird stuff. So keep an eye on that if you want to see some weird stuff, because we have quite the backlog of bad Christian content. So check that out in the future. Our theme song is Obsolete by Keshko from the album Filmmakers Reference Kit Volume 2. You can find more of their music at keshko.bandcamp.com. Layla, how should we say goodbye to the latest entry in the Fast franchise?
Aaron, these fucking movies, everybody becomes family. It's like a cult with cars.
We're only one barbecue away from corruption. We'll see you all next week.